Now we cover the difference between the wireless sensor network and mobile ad hoc network. So first we see the definition of the mobile ad hoc network. So MANET, or the mobile ad hoc network, consists of the mobile nodes that can communicate with each other without the need of the fixed infrastructure. So since their name itself suggests that the mobility comes into the picture, but one unique thing is that they are not required any fixed infrastructure, and such as the centralized access point or the base station. So this is the beauty of the MANET. They are without any center control, without any center base station. The nodes can communicate with each other, and these nodes are capable of forwarding the data to the others node, create a multi-hub communication to the reach to the destination or designation. So, say for example, in the sync node is the destination, some sort of things, without any fixed infrastructure support. Now, as we already covered, the wireless sensor network definition is the sensor nodes that are distributed over a large area. Large area means some forest area or some building. So it depends on the deployment pattern, whether you are randomly deployed or deployed with a deterministic fashion. Some man-made effect is there in the deployment. So if you are the random deployed, then forest areas and other things are the good example. If else we can go in the buildings and other thing where the manually we can deploy one after another. But in compared with the MANET are designed to provide the communication between mobile devices on nodes that can move, such as the vehicles, such as cars, UAVs, smartphone. All these, if they form a group, they can communicate with each other, they can make the multi-hub communication, then we can say, yes, this is the mobile ad hoc network, which is also a wireless network, but not the wireless sensor network. Another major difference between these two, wireless sensor network and MANET, is so wireless sensor networks typically have the static and predeterministic network topology. That means either you can go in the deterministic deployment or you can go in the random deployment. That means you have some network topology, you already fix a network topology. But MANET, that is a dynamic, self-organized network topology. That means it is very robust, very quickly they change their topologies because of the nodes are mobile and other things. So link creation, link maintenance is a tough in MANET as compared to wireless sensor network. Now we go to another class of the wireless networks, which is the vehicular ad hoc network. So vehicular ad hoc networks enables communication among vehicles and between vehicles and the roadside infrastructure. So all these vehicles, they can communicate with each other, and finally they can also communicate with the roadside infrastructure so that they can communicate their information to the outside world. Now for communication over the roadside infrastructure, they use the Wi-Fi, cellular network, these type of communication protocols they can use for communicate whatever the vehicles, they collect the information to that roadside unit for surrounding infrastructures and other things. Now wireless sensor network, as we already seen, the collect the data from distributed sensor nodes and to send the data to the center node or the base station. But the vehicular ad hoc network designed to enable the communication among vehicles and between vehicles and the roadside unit. Okay. This is the main difference between wireless sensor network and vehicular network. Yes, it is true that the vehicles in the vehicular ad hoc network more predictable and structured way than the nodes in the MANET. That is very interesting difference between mobile ad hoc network and vehicular ad hoc network. Mobile ad hoc networks, nodes are free to move here and there, but vehicular ad hoc network, they follow some pattern of the mobility. So say for example, if we use the public transport and if we are follow from A node to A source to the D destination, that means your shortest path is already predefined. So in that case, they have some structured way of the moving. So this is the main difference between vehicular ad hoc network and mobile ad hoc network. We go some little bit further advanced, then what is the difference between wireless sensor network and wireless mesh network? So wireless mesh network consists multiple wireless nodes are connected to each other in a mesh topology. That means they can connect it with each other directly and has huge number of links between nodes and node. And each node can act as a router, forward data packets to the nodes until they reach to the destination. So this is the main beauty of the wireless mesh network, as their name itself covers the mesh. So they form a mesh topology for communicating their data. Now we go in a little bit comparison point of view. So wireless sensor network, as we already seen the applications such as the environment monitoring, agriculture, industry automation. These are the applications of wireless sensor network. But wireless mesh network provides the wireless internet access, support applications such as video surveillance, voice over IP, online gaming. All these are the example of the wireless mesh network, because devices are connected with each other using the mesh topology sort of thing. And wireless sensor network usually support the star and the tree topology, where each node transmit data to the central gateway. And here we are not focused on the mesh topology. Otherwise, what's happened that the huge links are there, and wireless sensor network is not support such type of the large number of links as compared to wireless mesh network. So here they have the mesh network topology, multiple other nodes, and act as the router to forward the data. So these are some comparison between these networks. Now this is the final comparison: wireless sensor network and wireless personal area network. So WPAN is the personal area network, communicate with the devices that are in close proximity with each other, not so far so. That means they are within the few meters. So if you have a smart room sort of things, then definitely you need to make the wireless personal area network. So the range is very few meters, and these devices are very close with each other to communicate, such as the smartphone, laptop, wearable devices, smartwatch, or these gadgets. They can make a WPAN network, so that they can make the security, they can make the energy efficient, and they can make the less interference with others. All these things comes into the picture. So this is the main advantage of WPAN as compared to WSN wireless sensor network. And we already seen the wireless sensor network star and tree topology, and sensor node transmit the data. Wireless PAN's network use a point-to-point or point-to-multi-point topology. That means the devices can connect it one-to-one or one-to-many sort of things and can communicate directly inside. So usually wireless PAN network assume that so inside the building some smart home is there, smart infrastructure is there. At that time we can focus on WPAN type of the networks. This is not comparison between wireless sensor network and other wireless networks, but sometimes comes in the mind that what is the correlation between wireless sensor network and IoT, or what is the difference between these two things, in what scale. So as we already seen that the wireless sensor network is a network of the sensor node that are deployed in the physical environment to collect the data about the environment. So physical environment, your forest area, physical environment may be possible, river water pollution monitoring, whatever the environment is there, that is there. But IoT is little bit, that means superset of the wireless sensor network, or we can summarize that wireless sensor network is a subset of the IoT. So IoT is the broad concept. They refer to the network of the physical devices. Whatever the devices are there, that is also the part of that one. Vehicles may be possible, also the part of the IoT. Infrastructure is also the part of the IoT, and other objects that are embedded with the sensor and network connectivity to enable the collect and exchange the data. So here, along with these sensor nodes, they also have the vehicles, they also have the infrastructure, they also have some softwares and other things. Everything is together that we can say, yes, this is the IoT sort of thing, not only the wireless sensor network. Say for example, if I take an example for water pollution monitoring. So what is the wireless sensor network in that case? So wireless sensor network, your sensor nodes can monitor the water quality through the sensor. And these sensors are some sort of the temperature sensor, pH level sensor, dissolved oxygen is there. But if someone says that you need to make the IoT for the water pollution monitoring, in that case we can say the IoT for water pollution can include the additional devices such as drone. How you can collect the river water monitoring? So you can your sensor transmit your data to the drone, and drone can communicate your data to the further processing like this one, or autonomous underwater vehicles to provide the real-time data communication. So in that case we can say, yes, we need to go to the IoT directions, because we want to use the other devices as well as some other softwares or other infrastructure support. But if wireless sensor network end up only is this level, that they have the sensor node, they sense the environment and relay this information to the base station. So this is all about the comparison between wireless sensor networks and other existing network. That we already seen the other existing network, and also we have seen the wireless sensor networks and the IoT.